make a video on why I think the United States failed to win a world championship in Yu-Gi-Oh! Forever. Even though they send the most representatives, Japan sends slightly less, but they send more representatives than the other countries. I think the United States only has come second place. Um, they've never gotten first place. This is some of the reasons why I think the United States have not won. First of all, Yu-Gi-Oh is not like chess. I want to emphasize that the reason why Yu-Gi-Oh is not like chess, I want to explain that chess is very different. It's true that you have to learn a lot. Um, you know, it's just that chess. What's different about chess is that, um, for the most part, it's like it's like the concept I remember is called something like matrices, something with determinants and stuff like that. I can't remember the exact terminology, but basically, chess is a lot like that, except that it's finite rather than infinite, and because it's finite, you can learn it, you know, by like approach. But the United States struggles with the idea that I think Japan has successfully figured out, and it's the idea of it's called, I don't know what I would call it. I'll just call it spontaneous or random, and it's not like, and when people think of random, they think of like Las Vegas casino. No, don't think of it that way. That's incorrect. What is Think of it more like, it's a very flexible approach, but yet it's not perceiving. So I've heard that concept perceiving from like Myers-Briggs typology. And I will tell you that there is a big difference between those two concepts I just described. Perceiving, they can get stressed out in many ways, but Yu-Gi-Oh is very different, where you have to be more open-minded in a different way, and that's hard to, I think that's a lot, that's very difficult for a lot of people, because it's just so, because like most people, you can't be, I don't know how to describe it, but like you kind of have to be like patient in a way, but not like patient as in, you're waiting for someone to arrive at an appointment and they're like 10 minutes late, not like that. Think of it differently. So it's hard to really explain, but the United States has consistently failed for many reasons. First of all, I think the biggest reason is that the United States does not border any country from the east or the west. Now, the thing is, Canada doesn't either, for the most part. Um, However, Canada actually, I'll double check if they won. I recall that there was that year with the Infernities. I think Canada went first place. I think that was it. I think that was the year uh that the United States had a third place champion who was younger than average. I think that was it. The first place winner was, I think, using an Infernity deck. It was 2014, I think. It was so strange that Canada actually got first place, and we've never won at all. We got second place multiple times. So I think the reason is because, but Canada doesn't border any country from the east or the west either. But you're wrong. They have. And remember Alaska in the 1800s, before the United States purchased Alaska, it was part of Russia. So Canada actually has bordered a country from the east or west, and that's Russia. So I want to emphasize that perhaps the winner of that, I forgot his name. I can put it in the description. But I think when Canada won that year, um, basically, I don't know if the winner studied anything about Russia prior to that, but if he did, it would have made a lot of sense. How he was able to get first place, and I just thought that was so interesting that So anyway, I have so the United States. I mean, did they border any country in its history? I mean, yeah, just because I would not say that because even though technically, and it's in the 17, 18, early 1800s, technically there was some territorial claims from England, France, Spain, whatever. They never really enforced it. It was still occupied by a huge amount of Native Americans. They never really enforced it. Now, did the Russians enforce it either? Not really. But for the most part, who really lives in Alaska anyway? So I mean, and not only that, much of the land is uninhabitable. So there were a non-trivial amount of Russians before the Alaska Purchase. There's some areas in Alaska. I forgot Fairbanks, Anchorage, and some of those places. I can't remember. I don't actually never studied the history for the most part. But I recall that before it was purchased, it was from Russia, and Russia had some people there, and for the most part, much of the land is uninhabitable except for those areas. And for the most part, Canada did board. I don't know, because then that was before Canada became an independent country, so that was technically part of England during the purchase. So that's I kind of was wrong about that. Like Canada never really bordered Russia. However, um, it got me thinking that perhaps, because like even after the United States bought Alaska and then Canada became an independent country or independent from England, uh, I think there might be some Russian influence there in Alaska, even though technically now it's part of the United States territories. So this is difficult, and so I'm not really sure why Canada won that year and the United States lost. So I just make up some of these ideas, and many of them aren't correct. So, um, however, it got me thinking that the United States, we have so many people, and we can't figure out Yu-Gi-Oh. And it's just like, huh, I don't know, like we send so many brilliant duelists, and maybe and for some reason, they underperform. And it's like, oh, maybe well, like you're saying, oh, they would have won if COVID weren't here. Just like, okay, I agree with that. They probably would have won if got first. They would have gone first place for the coronavirus. I probably agree that would have been true, but that didn't happen. Let's talk about reality that the United States did not win. So think about it that. I mean, the United States has done well in chess, Bobby Fischer, poker, countless amounts of first place wins. So we have succeeded in those areas. So that's it.